Have you ever wondered if you might actually be aging in reverse? Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and exhale gently through your mouth. Notice how your shoulders soften, how your spine lengthens, how every cell in your body awakens to this simple act of breathing. Feel the steady rhythm of your heart, the cool air filling your lungs, and the warmth of life pulsing through your veins. This isn't about chasing youth or chasing time. It's about reclaiming the vitality that lives within you right now. Imagine a soft glow spreading from your chest outward to your fingertips, a glowing reminder that you are alive, you are capable, and every moment holds potential. Picture yourself standing at the threshold of possibility, a hallway lined with open doors, each one leading to a version of yourself that feels stronger, more agile, more resilient. With each breath, you step closer to one of those doors. Today, we'll explore 7 surprising signs that reveal your body's hidden strength. We begin with the power to rise from the floor without support, a deceptively simple act that speaks volumes about your balance, core strength, and coordination. From there, we'll move to walking briskly without losing breath, the sit and rise test that predicts longevity, expressive speech and eye contact that signal neural health, fine motor skills that tell of brain-body harmony, social curiosity that keeps your mind engaged, and a rapid recovery from setbacks that proves your resilience. These aren't empty promises or gimmicks. They're real, science-backed indicators of health, shared through heartfelt stories of seniors who defy expectations every single day. Just genuine, accessible pathways to feeling strong, clear, and joyfully alive. So open your eyes softly, carry that sense of calm and possibility with you, and let curiosity guide your mind. If you're ready to discover which of these 7 signs you already embody and which ones you can cultivate next, stay with me. Together, we'll unlock the simple, inspiring truths of aging in reverse. Picture yourself waking each morning feeling sharp, strong, and fully alive, ready to move, think, and connect with the world exactly as you choose. We'll dive into real-life examples. Seniors who still rise from the floor without support, stride briskly down the sidewalk, and bounce back from setbacks faster than someone decades younger. You'll learn the science behind each ability, how muscle memory, neural pathways, and social engagement combine to keep you balanced, resilient, and mentally agile. Instead of chasing youth creams or gimmicks, you'll discover practical, research-backed practices you can integrate today, simple habits that respect your pace and honor your routines. Whether it's a morning stretch sequence that awakens every muscle fiber, a breathing exercise that clears mental fog, or a gentle hand and finger routine that hones fine motor skills, each technique is designed to slot seamlessly into your life. You'll hear inspiring stories from active seniors, Edward, Grace, and Leonard, whose dedication to movement, curiosity, and community fuels a vitality that defies their calendar age. By the end of our journey, you'll understand not just what these 7 signs are, but why they matter, what they reveal about your cardiovascular health, joint mobility, cognitive reserve, and emotional well-being. More than that, you'll feel motivated to choose one sign to cultivate first, armed with clear, step-by-step guidance on how to nurture it. Get ready to shift your mindset from growing old to growing stronger. If you're committed to living with strength, clarity, and joy at every age, tap subscribe now and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly meditative journeys. Imagine waking tomorrow to a fresh insight that powers your morning stretch or uplifts your spirit during that first calming cup of tea. Here, you'll find science-backed practices and tiny habit shifts designed to fit your pace. Whether it's a 2-minute breathing ritual, a simple balance exercise, or a moment of reflection that renews your resilience. By joining our community of spirited seniors, you'll gain not only tools for body and mind, but also a circle of encouragement. Comment below what topic you'd love to explore next, perhaps gentle strength or mindful breathing. Your suggestions shape our content, and sharing keeps us all inspired. Sign number 1, rising from the floor without support. Let's start with something simple. Sit down on the floor. Now, try getting up without using your hands, arms, or furniture to help. Sounds easy? In reality, this one movement holds an incredible amount of information about your body's current strength, flexibility, coordination, and even your long-term survival. Doctors call it the sit-to-stand test, and in recent decades it's become one of the most reliable predictors of longevity in people over 70. Researchers from Brazil followed thousands of older adults over several years. What they found was eye-opening. Those who could rise from the floor with little or no support had significantly lower risks of falling, hospitalization, and early death. As we age, many of these systems decline without warning. The loss is slow, silent, and easy to overlook, until one day you try to get up from a low chair or tie your shoes and realize your body hesitates. You're not weaker because of age alone. You're weaker because certain daily motions quietly left your life, and with them, your body lost the cue to stay prepared. But here's the good news. This isn't a fixed sentence. With gentle, regular attention, you can improve this ability again, no matter your age. This block will guide you through exactly how. Let's step into this together, gently, intentionally. Begin seated on a soft surface, a mat, a rug, or even a folded blanket. Let your hands rest loosely on your thighs. Close your eyes for a moment and take one deep, steady breath. Feel the earth beneath you, solid, supportive. With your next exhale, release any tension in your jaw, your shoulders, your spine. Now, shift your weight slightly forward. Bring one foot beneath you. Plant it firmly. Feel how your body adjusts, preparing. This isn't about force, it's about awareness. Engage your core, press through your foot, and begin to rise, slowly, smoothly. Let each movement come from within. When you're halfway up, pause. Feel the strength in your thighs, the balance in your hips, the quiet alertness in your breath. Then continue, pressing through your feet until you're standing tall. Let your arms hang gently by your sides. Breathe. Now, visualize morning light pouring through a window. You're alone, but not lonely. You lower yourself to the floor with grace and rise again, unhurried. Not because you're young, but because your body remembers. Because you've kept it listening, moving, trusting. This is more than mobility. It's a ritual of presence. Carol had always believed she was steady on her feet, until the day she reached to water her plants and stumbled into the coffee table. No bruises, but something inside her shifted. "I didn't even feel dizzy," she told her daughter. "My leg just didn't respond." A week later, at her doctor's suggestion, she tried the one-leg stand test. 10 seconds, that's all. She lifted her right foot. 4 seconds. Wobble. Down. Left foot. 3 seconds. Down again. It was a quiet wake-up call. And she's not alone. In a 2022 study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, researchers followed over 1,700 adults aged 51 to 75. Those who couldn't balance on one leg for at least 10 seconds were nearly twice as likely to die within the next decade, regardless of age or gender. The study stunned even the researchers. It wasn't about fitness level, but neuromuscular integrity. A body in balance reflects a brain in sync. So now, Carol practices every morning. "I stand near the kitchen counter, lift one foot, and breathe. I imagine a tree, grounded but flexible. A quiet ritual, but a powerful one." Within weeks, she noticed less stiffness in her hips. And you? Can you stand on one foot for 10 seconds? No hands, no walls, just you and your balance? Try it. And if it's hard today, let that be a reason to begin, not a reason to quit. Comment balance if you're ready to strengthen not just your legs, but your future stability. Sign number 2, walking briskly without fatigue. Picture this. It's early morning. The light is soft, the pavement still cool beneath your shoes. You step outside, the door closing gently behind you. The air greets your cheeks, fresh, just a hint of dew. You start walking, not strolling, not shuffling, but moving with quiet purpose. There's no rush, and yet Your pace has rhythm. Your breath is steady, your thoughts unclouded. This is not just a walk. It's a sign that your body remembers strength, that your cardiovascular system, your lungs, your muscles, they're all still in conversation, and they like each other. Brisk walking, especially without fatigue, is one of the clearest, most visible indicators that your internal systems are working in harmony. But here's the quiet secret. Most people lose this gift not because of disease, but because of disuse. The body, like a well-loved garden, thrives when tended. Ignore it for too long and the weeds of stiffness and fatigue creep in. But nourish it, even gently, and vitality returns. Let's pause now. Wherever you are, feel your feet. Wiggle your toes inside your shoes or slippers. Imagine standing, rising slowly, then taking that first confident step forward. Step, breathe. Step, breathe. Let your arms swing like gentle pendulums. Let your gaze lift. Picture yourself on a shaded path. Trees arching overhead, leaves whispering. With each step, tension drains, thoughts soften, muscles respond, not out of duty, but joy. Now, if you were to walk like this, right now, for just 5 minutes, how would you feel? Doctors have a term for this: gait speed. In clinical settings, how quickly an older adult walks, especially over a short, measured distance, can predict more than just fitness. It correlates with heart health, lung capacity, and even brain function. In one study, researchers found that every 0.1 meter per second increase in walking speed reduced mortality risk significantly. Brisk walking, particularly without needing to pause, suggests strong circulation, balanced hormones, and efficient energy metabolism. And it's not just physical. Walking affects the mind too. When we walk briskly, the hippocampus, the region of the brain responsible for memory and spatial awareness, actually becomes more active. Dopamine rises, mood lifts, the fog clears. That's why walking is often called meditation in motion. You don't need perfect posture or fancy shoes. You need presence and a willingness to let your body lead for a while. Let me tell you about Leonard. He's 78, lives in a quiet neighborhood in Minnesota. Nothing extravagant, just a modest home, a bird feeder out front, and a sidewalk that loops around the block. Every morning, just after sunrise, Leonard walks. 1 loop, then 2, sometimes 3. At first, it was hard. After a back surgery in his 60s, he thought his walking days were behind him. The stiffness, the shortness of breath, the temptation to stay in the recliner with a crossword. But one morning, after his grandson asked, "Grandpa, do you still race people like you did when you were young?" Something inside him shifted. Not pride, not guilt, curiosity. He wanted to find out what was still possible. So, he set a gentle goal. 1 loop, without sitting after. Just 1. That was 5 years ago. Today, Leonard walks 1.5 miles each morning, then another short stroll after dinner. His knees aren't perfect, his stride isn't flashy, but he walks briskly, with a rhythm that says, "I'm still here, I'm still moving forward." There's something universally human about walking. It's one of the first things we master as children. And when we reclaim it as older adults, not just as function, but as freedom, it becomes sacred again. So I ask you gently, when was the last time you walked without a destination, just to feel yourself moving through the world? If it's been a while, let today be your loop. Even 10 steps in your living room count. And if you already walk, could you go just a little bit farther, just a little bit smoother? Not for the sake of progress, but for the quiet satisfaction of feeling capable. Because that's the gift of this sign. Brisk walking without fatigue means your body hasn't given up on you. It's waiting for the invitation. And every step you take toward it brings your vitality closer, 1 footfall at a time. First, the ability to rise from the floor without support. It's more than just strength. It's a full-body conversation between your brain, your breath, and your balance. A simple act with deep meaning. Second, walking briskly without fatigue. Not racing, not pushing, but moving with rhythm, lightness, and quiet power. It reveals that your heart, lungs, muscles, and mood are still speaking fluently with one another. Each of these signs is a window into your deeper resilience. They whisper, not shout, but if you listen closely, they tell a very clear story. You are not done thriving. Now let's step into the third sign, a movement so simple it often goes unnoticed, yet it may hold one of the clearest links to longevity. Sign number 3, the sit and rise test. You wouldn't have noticed anything unusual about Charles if you passed him on the street. Early 80s, ball cap, worn flannel, a face lined by time but not burdened by it. What made Charles remarkable wasn't his job or his history. Before breakfast, before the paper, even before his first sip of coffee, Charles would lower himself to the living room floor, slowly, silently, and then rise again, without using his hands or knees for support. He never announced it, never bragged, but every day it was the same ritual. To Charles, it wasn't exercise, it was assurance. "I do it," he once said, "to make sure I still belong inside this body." That small motion, down and up, was his daily way of checking in, not with numbers or charts, but with gravity, with strength, and with self-trust. Charles lived alone, cooked his meals, repaired his roof last spring. At 83, he was still cutting firewood, and when his doctor asked what kept him so spry, Charles only shrugged and said, "I just keep getting up." The sit and rise test, known simply as SRT, is a tool so basic it almost feels too simple, and yet its implications are profound. Here's how it works. Start from standing. Lower yourself to a seated position on the floor, legs crossed if possible. Then, rise back to standing, all without using your hands, elbows, or knees for assistance. You get 5 points for sitting down and 5 for standing back up. Each time you use support, a hand, knee, or leaning on something, you subtract a point. That's it. 10 points total. But what those points predict? That's where it gets interesting. In a long-term Brazilian study, researchers found that adults over 50 who scored lower on the SRT were significantly more likely to die in the next 6 years than those who scored higher, even after adjusting for age, gender, and health history. Each point lost increased the risk of mortality by 21%. Why? Because this test doesn't just measure strength, it measures integration, balance, flexibility, core stability, neuromuscular coordination, cardiovascular readiness, and perhaps most importantly, confidence in movement. SRT is a mirror. It shows you how well your body has been listening to life and how well it's likely to keep up. But here's the quiet beauty. SRT is not a judgment. It's a conversation. You can improve your score. You can strengthen those connections. And the moment you begin, your body begins listening back. Close your eyes. If you feel safe, take a breath in through your nose. Slow, patient. Hold it for a moment. Now exhale softly through your lips. Feel the weight of your body where it touches the earth, your feet, your seat, your hands. The ground is not your enemy. It is your foundation. Now imagine you are standing in your living room. Sunlight slants across the carpet. There is quiet. No one watching. No one judging. Just you. You lower yourself gently. Hips fold. Knees bend. Your arms float nearby, but do not intervene. Now, pause. Feel the earth beneath you. Solid. Trusted. Now, rise. Your core engages. Your muscles recall. You shift forward and press through your feet, lifting yourself without a tremble. Let yourself breathe in that image. And now ask yourself, could you try this today? Even if only partially, even if slowly. Could you meet your body where it is? Not to test it, but to know it better. Because what this test truly reveals isn't just health, it's trust. Trust that your body, even now, can learn, respond, adapt, that you are not frozen in time, that you are capable of returning to the ground and rising again, in motion and in life. Charles knew he never chased strength. He just refused to let his relationship with gravity go quiet. So now, What does your body want to say? Sign number 4. Expressive speech and eye contact. It starts small. A glance that lingers just a moment longer. A voice that softens as it reaches for understanding. A smile in the eyes, even before it touches the mouth. These are not just gestures of politeness. They are signs of presence. Clues that the mind behind the gaze is still deeply engaged with the world. You see, there's something quietly powerful about the way we speak when we're fully alive inside. The cadence of our words, the clarity in our tone, the intention in how we look at someone, it all reflects how awake we are, not just mentally, but emotionally. Think back to someone you once loved speaking your name, maybe a parent, a teacher, a dear friend. Remember the way their voice carried not just sound, but meaning, affection, recognition. That kind of communication doesn't fade with time. In fact, when protected and nourished, it deepens. Expressive speech and intentional eye contact are two of the most subtle yet profound indicators that the neural connections within us are still firing with clarity. And when you speak with warmth, when you truly see someone, you remind them and yourself that you are fully here. From a scientific perspective, expressive communication isn't just about social grace. It's about brain health. Eye contact activates the social brain network, a collection of regions responsible for interpreting emotions, responding to cues, and regulating empathy. When we maintain eye contact, these regions light up. They say, "I see you," and "I am aware." Likewise, expressive speech depends on finely coordinated systems: linguistic fluency, vocal control, memory recall, emotional regulation. All of these functions are centered in areas of the brain vulnerable to aging, such as the prefrontal cortex and the temporal lobes. But here's the hopeful part. Using these systems keeps them sharp. Engaging in rich conversation, storytelling, or even simple daily expressions like "good morning" with sincerity. These acts are workouts for your cognitive health. In a 2021 study on aging and communication, researchers found that seniors who maintained expressive verbal and nonverbal communication scored significantly higher on memory and executive function tests. Why? Because expression is integration. You aren't just speaking, you're feeling, interpreting, responding, and connecting. Even in small doses, this kind of expressive engagement rewires the brain to stay flexible, compassionate, and alert. And it goes both ways. When someone meets your eyes with kindness, when they listen with attention, your mirror neurons fire. You feel seen. You feel worthy. So here is today's quiet invitation. Sometime in the next few hours, speak to someone, just one person, with a little more intention than usual. Maybe it's the neighbor passing by, the nurse at your clinic, a family member on the phone. Pause for a moment. Look into their eyes, even if just briefly. Let your tone soften. Not theatrical, not forced, just present. And when you speak, choose one phrase to say with warmth. Something small. "Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. That color looks nice on you." Notice how your heart opens, even slightly. How the other person responds, not just with words, but with posture, with light in their expression. And if you're alone today, speak to yourself. Try this. Stand before a mirror, meet your own gaze, and say gently, "I see you. I'm still here." Because expressive speech and sincere eye contact are not for others alone. They're for you. They keep you rooted in the moment, awake to joy, anchored in connection. It doesn't matter if your voice trembles or if your eyes are clouded. What matters is that you are still reaching outward and inward with honesty. This is not a performance. It's a signal that your spirit is still speaking clearly and still wants to be heard. Sign number 5, fine motor skills. Sit quietly for a moment. Now look at your hands. Trace the lines in your palm with your eyes, the tiny creases, the folds, the softness where skin has thinned, the slight tremble that may come and go. Now, gently wiggle your fingers. Flex them one by one, like you're playing an invisible piano. Have you ever stopped to marvel at how much your hands still remember? How to thread a needle, how to fasten a button, how to hold a teacup steady, how to write your name in cursive, even if the pen feels heavier now. These are not small things, but they are, in truth, one of the most sophisticated signs that the connection between your body and your mind is still alive and well. There's a kind of meditation in working with your hands, slowly untying a knot, folding a letter just right, drawing a quiet shape in the margin of a notepad. Each movement requires precision, focus, patience, and within that patience, something sacred happens. The world narrows, time softens, your breath slows, your body and brain align. This is not busy work, this is practice, a way of keeping your inner circuitry vibrant. Even 5 minutes a day of finger-focused movement, snapping, clasping, sketching, zipping, stirring, can reawaken dormant pathways. So today, choose one small thing that asks something of your fingers. Let it be quiet, intentional, and let your body remember its own fine language. Barbara is 86. Her favorite chair sits near the window, the one with the afternoon light. On the end table beside her is a shallow basket. Inside, needles, soft yarn in shades of lavender and moss, and a small notebook with patterns carefully handwritten in blue ink. Barbara has been knitting since she was 12. She stopped for a while after arthritis made her joints ache. "I thought my hands had retired," she jokes. But the truth is she missed it. Not just the sweaters, but the rhythm, the click of the needles, the sense of shape emerging from nothing. So one morning, she picked up the needles again. Not to make anything fancy, just to move. At first, her fingers rebelled, stiff, clumsy, slow, but she kept going, a few stitches each day. And then, something beautiful happened. Within weeks, her hands began to adjust. The swelling eased, the tremor steadied. But more than that, her mood lifted. Her thoughts felt clearer. She slept better. Now, every afternoon, she knits while listening to classical music or the sound of rain. Her scarves and mittens fill a drawer she never opens. "They're not for anyone," she says. "They're just proof that my hands still know." Barbara's story isn't rare. Across cultures and decades, handwork, knitting, carving, sewing, painting, even simple fidgeting, has been tied to emotional calm, cognitive clarity, and physical dexterity. From a neurological perspective, fine motor activity engages the brain in extraordinary ways. Your fingers hold more nerve endings than almost any other part of the body. Every movement they make sends signals through the sensory cortex, the cerebellum, and the motor strip, regions deeply linked with attention, memory, and learning. When you move your fingers with purpose, your brain lights up. In fact, studies have shown that seniors who engage in daily fine motor tasks, such as knitting, playing an instrument, or even folding paper, retain sharper cognitive function, better memory recall, and greater emotional regulation over time. It's as if your fingers are speaking to your brain, saying, "Keep paying attention, we still need each other." And the best part? You don't need formal tools or training. Even clasping a necklace behind your neck, buttoning a sleeve, stirring soup with intention, tying a bow, tracing letters with your fingertip on the table, these actions count. Because they remind you, your coordination is not gone. It may be quieter now, but it is still waiting to be invited back into your day. So take a moment now, rub your thumb gently across each fingertip, feel the warmth, the texture, the spark of presence. Then ask yourself, what could I do today that would let these fingers move with care? And more than that, what could I create, not for others, but for the joy of simply feeling alive in my hands? Sign number 6, social curiosity. Harold didn't think of himself as lonely. He had his routines, morning coffee, crossword by the window, a few neighbors he nodded to on walks, a tidy house, a quiet TV. The days passed gently, like a stream that didn't ask much. But one evening, after reheating the same soup for dinner, Harold sat down and realized something simple and unsettling. He hadn't spoken aloud all day. He looked at his phone, its screen still and dark. The silence wasn't dramatic. It wasn't even sad, just still, like something had gone unused, something important. So the next morning, Harold did something unexpected. He walked to the public library, just to get out, he told himself. He wandered past the new releases and stumbled on a flyer tacked to the wall. Tuesdays at 2, Community Book Circle. No commitment, just conversation. Still, he wrote down the time. That first Tuesday, he arrived early, sat near the back, didn't say much, just listened. To laughter, to opinions, to memories sparked by characters on the page. And something inside him stirred. The next week, he brought a note card with a question he'd written at home, a quote he liked. By the third week, he was staying late, helping stack chairs, walking home feeling taller somehow. Now, every Tuesday, Harold shines his shoes, prints out a poem, looks forward to someone asking, "What did you think?" Not because he's chasing conversation, but because he's curious again. Curious about how other people think, about what moves them. That's what social curiosity gives us. Not popularity, not noise, but presence. A renewed willingness to reach past our own habits and ask the world, "Tell me more." You don't need a book club. You don't even need a book. Just one moment, one bridge. Think of someone you haven't spoken to in a while, not because of distance or drama, but because life quietly placed space between you. An old friend, a cousin, someone who used to sit next to you at church, a neighbor you waved at for years, but never truly knew. Now, choose one name, just one, and reach out. A text, a voice message, a postcard with 3 short sentences. Nothing dramatic, just a small open door. Thinking of you today. How are things in your world? Or, I came across something that reminded me of you. Or even, I'd love to hear your voice sometime soon. These simple questions are not small. They are acts of vitality. When you spark conversation, especially as you age, your brain responds. Pathways reawaken, hormones shift, cortisol drops, and a sense of belonging, long dormant, begins to glow again. Don't underestimate the power of one curious question. If a call feels like too much, write a message with no pressure to respond. If words feel hard, start by listening to a podcast, a radio caller, an old voicemail. Let voices enter your space again, because connection doesn't always begin with talking. Sometimes it begins with wanting to hear. So now I ask, gently, who would you like to talk to today? Not for information, not out of routine, but because you're curious. What are they thinking about lately? What's blooming in their world? What keeps them up at night, or makes them laugh unexpectedly? What might happen if you simply asked? And if no name comes to mind, what about yourself? When was the last time you were curious about you? How your thoughts have shifted this year? About how you've grown without noticing? About what you still long to understand? Write one question you'd love to ask someone, and one you've never asked yourself. Then, if it feels right, ask them both. Because staying curious, especially when the world tells you to slow down or fade out, is a quiet act of brilliance. It tells your brain, we're still in this, still growing, still open to the surprise of connection. And from that curiosity, something beautiful happens. A world once narrowed begins to widen again. One voice, one question, one real moment at a time. Sign number 7, fast recovery. There's a phrase researchers use that you won't often hear outside of scientific papers. They call it being young old. Not young in age, necessarily, but young in resilience. It's the difference between bouncing back in 2 days or staying down for 2 weeks, between a scratch that heals quietly and one that lingers, irritates, becomes something more. And here's the surprising truth. Age doesn't decide which one you are. Your recovery speed, from a cold, a bruise, a sleepless night, says more about your internal systems than your birthday ever could. Scientists now know that the immune system, just like muscle or memory, responds to use. It can stay agile well into our 80s and 90s, or begin to slow in our 50s, depending on how we treat it. This isn't about supplements or serums. It's about how you move, how you breathe, how you rest, how you stay engaged with life. When your nervous system is soothed, your body exits fight or flight and re-enters repair and restore. That's where healing happens, quietly, continuously, like a river mending the banks after a storm. Fast recovery isn't about pushing yourself harder. It's about staying in a state where your body doesn't have to work so hard to begin with. It's about being responsive, alive to change, and trusting that healing still lives in you. Eleanor slipped on a wet step outside the grocery store. It wasn't dramatic, just a fast moment, a missed footing, a twist of the ankle. But at 83, even a small fall can echo loudly. Her daughter rushed over. A kind stranger offered a hand. An ambulance was suggested, gently. But Eleanor stood, shaky, yes, but upright. They got her home, iced the ankle, wrapped it with care. The next day, she did something no one expected. She got out of bed, slowly, and walked to the kitchen. By the third day, she was doing her stretches again. On the fifth, she was back at her watercolor class, sitting with her foot elevated, laughing about her graceful tumble. Her recovery didn't come from denial or toughness. It came from years of tending to her health in quiet ways. Walks in the park, deep breathing when stress came, eating warm meals, getting good sleep, doing puzzles that challenged her mind just enough. And perhaps even more important, a spirit that never stopped believing in movement. Eleanor's doctor said, "Most people would have taken weeks." Eleanor just smiled and said, "I've got things to do." That's the kind of vitality we're talking about. Not perfection, not immunity to hardship, but a nervous system that knows the way back, muscles that remember, a heart that still wants to show up. Now close your eyes just for a moment. Picture a small setback, something recent or imagined, maybe a sprain, a sleepless night, a wave of exhaustion, a loss of rhythm. Now breathe. See yourself responding with calm, not panic, not defeat. You rest, you hydrate, you give your body the message, "We are okay." Picture yourselves responding, inflammation gently receding, skin knitting, hormones settling into balance, breath deepening. Now imagine 2 days later, you rise from your bed. There is lightness in your limbs. Your energy, while not boundless, is steady. You feel capable again. This is your body remembering how to return to baseline. This is not a miracle. It's a muscle, and you can train it with better sleep, with breath, with kindness to your joints, with movement that feels like medicine, with company that soothes you, not stresses you, with quiet time that lets your systems reboot. So I'll ask, when was the last time you gave your body the conditions to heal? Not just time, but support. Because healing is not a destination, it is a pattern. And the more you practice it, gently, consistently, the faster you recover. And that may be the most beautiful sign of reverse aging of all. Now take a gentle breath in and slowly let it go. You've just walked through 7 quiet signs of resilience, movement, balance, expression, recovery, each one a reminder that your strength has not vanished. It has simply changed form. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Feel the weight of your body supported by the chair, the floor, the earth beneath you. Now imagine you are walking through a peaceful garden path. The sun is warm but soft. With each step, you feel a quiet confidence in your legs, in your breath, in your posture. You pause by a bench, sit, then rise again, smoothly, calmly, like it's the most natural thing in the world. In this place, nothing aches, nothing rushes. Every part of you is connected and listening. You are not chasing youth, you are returning to yourself. You've just explored 7 quiet signs that your body, mind, and spirit may be aging in reverse. Not by defying time, but by working with it. Not through bold declarations, but in subtle moments. The way you rise from the floor, the way you walk with ease, the steadiness of your voice, the tenderness in your fingertips. Each one is a doorway, a chance to notice what's still strong, what's returning, what's asking for attention. Maybe you found yourself nodding along, thinking, yes, I can still do that. Or maybe something stirred in you that's been quiet for a while, a desire to rebuild, gently, without pressure. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just begin with one sign. Choose the one that spoke to you most, the one that made your chest warm or your mind curious. Maybe you'll try the sit and rise test on a soft rug this afternoon. Maybe you'll call a friend, not out of obligation, but wonder. Maybe tomorrow morning you'll walk a little faster. This is not about measuring up. It's about tuning in. And if you've made it this far, something in you is ready to listen more deeply to your body, to your inner rhythm, to your potential, not the one others defined for you, but the one you still feel quietly pulsing inside. Join our growing circle of thoughtful, resilient souls who are choosing to move forward. Each week we'll explore new practices, stories, and reflections. No shouting, no hype, just gentle wisdom and the kind of strength that lasts. Leave a comment below. Tell me which sign spoke to you most, or simply write, I'm still moving. We're not growing old, we're growing deeper, and the path ahead is still full of light. Thank you for spending this time with us on Golden Years. If today's journey brought you a moment of peace, clarity, or purpose, we invite you to subscribe and return each week for more meditative stories and science-backed wisdom. You are not alone on this path. Our community is growing, one breath, one step, one reflection at a time. Until next time, be gentle with yourself and stay curious. Your next chapter is only just beginning.